Padrat with us, who will share his valuable insights and experience in the field of human resource. Let's dive into the amazing discussion. Welcome to another exciting episode of College to Corporate Insights Unplugged, Season 3, Episode 11. This is the show that explores the fascinating world of invention, creativity, and technology. I am your host, Sasha Sharma, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Raj Velarkar. He is an accomplished global HR professional with over 30 years of corporate experience across a variety of industries, including oil and gas, manufacturing, consulting, real estate, and retail. Focusing his expertise lies in human resource management, focusing on behavior transformation, productivity, profitability, leadership alignment, and enhanced collaboration within organizations. Mr. Raj is known for his leadership skills that deliver results with clarity and conviction. He has successfully led HR digital transformation at Finolex Industries and Aspect Global and consulted across industries like banking, FMCG, chemicals, and manufacturing on assessment and development centers. His exceptional leadership in fostering a positive work culture earned Finolex Industries and Aspect Global their first Great Place to Work awards. His contribution in the field of HR have been widely recognized, including being named among India's top 40 most talented HR leaders by ET Now in 2013 and honored as one of the most iconic HR leaders in 2024. We are very excited for this podcast, sir, as our viewers will gain valuable corporate knowledge from you. Before we begin, we would like to welcome you to our podcast series. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Sasha, and thank you so much for having me for this podcast.
That's great, sir. So, can we proceed with the podcast?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Sir, can you walk us through your journey in HR and share the key milestones that shaped your career?
Sure. I would say my getting into HR was a bit accidental. I joined as a graduate trainee with Tata's, and I was, moved in different functions. Uh, at one point of time, I was put in the HR function where I had to do a lot of recruitment. And that's when it struck me that this is something which I'm really passionate about, and because every day is different, and this is something which I want to do, and that's
Right.
how my journey started. And I spent about 7 years in Tata's, and Tata's was a very comfortable assignment, and but I always knew that growth is going beyond your comfort, and that's where I moved into different other organizations. Another high point, I would say, is joining NIS Sparta as a behavioral trainer. So, what I was trying to do is equipping myself with various facets of HR, which would come in handy, when I'm performing as an HR professional. I joined NIS Sparta as a behavioral trainer. I trained more than 1,000 people there, and this was about changing mindsets and changing paradigms. I would say that was one high point. Moving on, I would say joining Transocean as India HR head is another high point, where in the 3 years that I was there in India, we achieved a growth of almost 10x in terms of revenue, in terms of manpower, in terms of size of operations. It was absolutely crazy, and rapid growth. As a reward, I was moved to Jakarta and Singapore, which was a regional office. Worked over there, managing different, people from different cultures, handling expatriates. That's where the variety of culture in terms of people I came across, and that was really a rich experience for me. Moving on, I would say working for Reliance, I was the general manager HR for Reliance, and working with the KG-D6 project in oil and gas. This is a very prestigious project for Reliance, and that again I would say was a high point where I left after the project was completed. Then I would say 2009 when I was appointed as a CHRO for the first time in Knight Frank. The agenda there was very simple, to do a complete transformation, and that's where I would say I honed my OD skills, as an OD
Okay.
expert. Yeah.
Yes.
It was a complete transformation that they wanted. They had employees who were very much laid back, and how do you make them with a professional mindset, and so that was the agenda, which I'll talk about later. Uh, then I would say being a global HR head at Jewelex, with more than 3,000 people. Again, the objective was transformation from a family-owned company to a complete corporate structure. Then again, I would say Swatch, where I was the HR head in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where we were basically into selling Swatch watches. It was a retail
Yes. Yes.
industry. Um,
Right.
and there, my role was not just being the HR head, but there was a business responsibility also, wherein I had to visit the showrooms and understand what is going wrong, what can we fix, how do you maximize sales. So it was I would say, HR head come a business role, and
Right.
that was also pretty interesting for me. And that was the first time for me, doing that. And the last I would say is Finolex, where I was a CHRO, and Finolex being a listed company, managing the HR was really a privilege, and enjoyed working there. So that's how I would sum up the journey, and with the milestones.
So that's quite interesting, and it's an honor to have you on the podcast. And we are looking forward for more such insights and learnings from business development to HR. You have vast experience, and it's quite interesting to know that from you, sir. So, what was the most challenging leadership decision you had to make, and how did you navigate it?
Okay, so what comes to my mind is the work that I did at Knight Frank, where I just mentioned earlier, where the agenda was to do a complete transformation. And this meant a host of activities, so it seems a very simple thing, single line agenda of transforming the company culture into a professionally driven organization. Seems a very simple agenda, but it meant doing a huge number of things in terms of hiring the right people, weeding out poor performers, driving performance across the company, coaching people with one-on-one discussions, starting at the top and building a robust HR function, driving values, scientific method of hiring, creating competencies and mapping the same. It took me about 3 years. And after 3 years, I would say that there definitely was a positive change, and I had achieved what I had set out to achieve. So that this, I would say, was the first OD kind of agenda of transformation, which I had taken up, and that I would say was the most difficult and most satisfying.
So that's great to know. Uh, Proceeding, how would you approach the process of aligning leadership teams and ensuring a cohesive organizational culture?
Okay, so organization culture, if you will see, is driven from the top. So whoever
Right.
is the man at the helm of affairs, the CEO or the chairman or the MD, whoever is the guy at the top, he dictates how the culture in the organization is. Further down, if you will see the business heads who are also responsible, the CXOs, they have in their own function, they have their own culture, which tends to play. So
Yes.
you have a country, you have a state, you have a company, and you have departments, each having different cultures. So in this scenario, it really becomes chaotic. So my experience has been, if you have to unify and bring in one culture, you have to work with values.
Hmm.
So, that is what I have done. Define what are the core values of the organization, and these are not something which has to be hung on the walls. Many companies have seen that it's more like a lip service. People don't even know what the values are. But when you conduct workshops only on values and drive it, that every person understands the values, what is right, what can be done, what cannot be done in this organization, what are our core values, and living those core values. If you are able to do that, that's when I would say you can build a cohesive organization culture. It
So
becomes very
that
it becomes very unifying.
so that's absolutely true. Values holds great power in an organization. So, digital transformation has become a buzzword in many industries. Could you share your experience in leading digital HR transformation at Finolex Industries?
Sure. So digital transformation, as you said, has become the buzzword. Implementing it correctly is extremely important. In one of the companies which had SAP implemented, I found that the performance appraisal process or the performance management system, it was completely short-circuited. There was no dialogue happening between the supervisor and subordinate.
Oh.
This is what happens when you over digitalize. Everything is in a digital format. The feedbacks are in a digital format, but the main process of dialogue had been removed completely. Now,
Hmm.
this is a very dangerous thing. So I'm perfectly okay for digital transformation as long as the process is not short-circuited or violated. So what we did in Finolex is that we implemented success factors, which again helped to ensure that the data was captured, but after having a dialogue. So we went through a process of training, and retraining the supervisors, the managers, and the subordinates as to how do you go through a performance appraisal process, because the process is important. The digital part is an enabler. Now the enabler can't define the process. That's where I disconnect with the digital transformation piece, where we said the process is important and we need to drive the process, and the system will help to drive the process. And what happened with implementing success factors is that there was a lot of transparencies. Employees knew what their supervisors were rating them, and it was more transparent. The whole process was more transparent, and of course, the dialogue had to have happened before. That's something which I would share with you.
That's great. Uh, so, what do you believe are the key factors that contribute to creating a great place to work?
Okay. Uh, I would say before having a great place to work, having a credible HR function is most important. Because
Right.
because many times HR gets relegated to the background as it is seen more as a support function. Because organizations see the success, organizations which are successful, they they find that success is what drives success, and they miss the human part of it. Now HR plays a very critical role, and HR has to play the role of the voice of the employees to the management. It does a mediating role between the employer and the employee. And that role HR has to play truthfully. If that is done, then you see that the employers or the companies do not exploit the employees. Otherwise, human capital becomes very dispensable at the hands of the employers. And therefore, I'm saying HR has to play a very balancing role, has to play the role of an ambassador, and has to help build a great culture. HR is to leverage the people's strength and be an employee champion and a strategic advisor to the company. Companies I've seen which have been more empathetic, to the employees have really, done well. I remember during COVID at Finolex, there was not a single person's salary which was cut. Everybody got their salaries on time, and no salary reduction was made. And and that year, Finolex achieved, I think, one of its all-time high turnover. So
Wow.
yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is that, and again, if you cut costs, if you cut employee costs, it becomes it's a very fractional part of it, but it does a lot of harm to the psyche of the employees. Where if you're able to cultivate a culture of ownership, where employees go all out to help the organization in its time of need, and that's when I would say you have been able to build a great place to work. So it happens over a period of time, and it doesn't happen by a certification. A certification is a mere piece of paper. To ingrain in all employees a sense of ownership to the organization, that's where magic happens. That's what I would say.
In your consulting experience with various industries,
Yeah.
what has been the most common HR challenge and how have you addressed it?
So in consulting, experience, what I would say is that for any company, the people puzzle is the most confusing one, because they do not have any visibility into the minds of the employees. A human being, how he will react is completely unpredictable. None of your algorithms will be able to predict how a human mind functions. So this has been one of the major challenges for companies. Whenever I've done ACs or DCs, assessment centers or development centers, it throws rich data about employees, which is very valuable in terms of understanding your workforce and their potential, figuring out their learning needs, identifying their blind spots, or figuring out who can be pushed for succession. Who are the guys who have potential can be pushed up. I typically use psychometric tools and some of the NLP techniques which I've learned to unravel the mystery of employees, and that helps to a great extent to understand people better and plan for them better, and that's what I've been doing.
Great, sir. How do you ensure continuous learning and growth for your teams? And what role does mentorship play in this process?
Okay. So I would say many companies do not invest in developing people. They want to maximize and get more productivity per person. If you have heard the story of the goose which laid the golden egg, uh, if I were to use that story, then they are interested in getting all the golden eggs at one go. They're not interested in feeding the goose.
Yeah.
So I've seen some of the top-notch consulting companies investing heavily in learning and development of people. In manufacturing sector, unfortunately, it's very limited. Uh, because manufacturing is like I would say uh, a complete factory which is producing products and it's getting sold. So again, as I said, where success begets success, everything else goes into the background. And that's where in Finolex, what we did is we did various programs for the people at the corporate office. In
Okay.
terms in the corporate office, yeah, because factories people would still focus on the workers. People would
Right.
on their training, because they are all having a direct impact. Let's say, but still we had done zero defects training for the people at the factory. But at the corporate level, these guys were completely without any training. So they were just working day in and day out, and that led to a lot of unrest because people were not happy. And when we rolled out various training programs for them, they felt valued. And and that is what I would say makes a big difference. Even if you are able to do something to help lives, because again, a human being is a human being. He's got, yeah, he's working. He or she could be, maybe a receptionist at your office, but has a life of his or her own. Has a family, is contributing to developing his or her family. So we have to look at that person as a CEO of that person's family, and that's where the human element comes in. If you are able to help grow these people, you are impacting so many lives, because they learn, they grow. It definitely helps their children, their family, and that's how growth happens. So companies need to invest in developing people, because if you don't, then it's a loss. So two things can happen: either they will be unhappy and stay, or they will leave. So whatever, it's a cost, but I would say it is extremely important to treat your people as human beings and invest in their growth. That's what I would say. In terms of mentoring, it's an awesome concept, but there are a lot of challenges here, because identifying the right mentor becomes a problem. Because a mentor is somebody who's not in the rat race, not in the corporate rat race. He is there to help that individual, help the mentee learn and grow. Now, in some companies, I have ran this program, and the challenge we have found is that the mentors are not ready. Because they have to get out of their mindset of so many years, and keep themselves aside and focus on the mentee and see how they can contribute to the mentee's growth. So it's a great concept, but as I said, you need to get good mentors in place. A lot of training and development will have to be done on the mentors, and then only you will be able to drive a good mentoring process. Coaching again is a big buzzword, and again I would say uh, it is important that the coachee is ready. If the coachee is not ready, then it's a waste of the coach's time, the coachee's time. So therefore, I would say in both cases, the coach and the coachee, the coachee should be willing. That's when coaching can happen. In mentoring, I would say both mentor and mentee both needs to be, developed. And when you've reached a particular stage, mentoring can happen. It's a great tool. I would definitely recommend. But after you have done all this.
Great. So I do agree with the perception of growth, and the concept of mentor and mentee is quite interesting as well. Proceeding further, throughout your career, who has been your greatest influence and what lessons have you learned from them?
Okay, so I would say, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books, which gives me a lot of clarity and direction. Today, I've seen, because of the social media or the digital addiction, as I would say, people are more on, LinkedIn, Insta, where there is a lot of information, but it has its consequences. I would say reading is something which people should cultivate as a habit. And even if you read, a book in a month, it's a great thing. So I have read Osho, and I believe, he has had a great impact on my life. On the personal front, I would say I look up to my better half, who is serene and graceful even in the most difficult situations. So, whatever be the external situation, she is completely calm, and that is something which that's why I look up to her, and I try to imbibe in myself the same quality, which I really admire.
So that's really good to hear. Um, so balancing a high pressure career with personal life can be challenging. So how would you manage a work-life balance?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of discussions in the recent past in terms of work-life balance. I would say it's a myth. There is nothing like a work-life balance. Uh, One needs to be balanced in one's approach to life. That's what I would say. Instead of going with this concept of work-life balance. So what I mean, I'll just explain. If you are playing the role of a CHRO, it does not mean you cease to be a father or a husband or a friend or any other relation that's important to you. Today with technology, you can be accessible at multiple places at the same time. You cannot ignore any of your roles which are important to you. And I agree and I understand that many times the corporate role may take more of your time, may undermine your other roles, and that's when you have to realize that that's when you've lost the balance. And always remember that whatever is your role in a corporate, you are dispensable. Someone was in your chair yesterday, and tomorrow it will be someone else. So there's no point in clinging to the role or the chair. What you need to have is a complete balance. And once you have a balance in your perspective, uh, there would be no imbalance in your working or in your life. No? So creating that balance in your mind is extremely important, and that comes from having a clear, a clarity about your roles. Then things are fine.
So, proceeding with the last question, what
Okay.
advice would you give to someone looking to pursue a career in HR and leadership?
Okay. So I would say it is not for the faint heart. So HR, it is a huge responsibilities as the it's a huge responsibility as the employees are looking up to HR to lead the way. Standing by what you feel is right does not come easy. So it is quite challenging, and you may be easily replaced. But the satisfaction of standing by your values and what you felt was right lets you sleep peacefully at the end of the day. So I would say that it is challenging. It's also very satisfying. Uh, it is you have to be extremely brave, and sometimes you have to take up battles which may be unpleasant. But that's the difference between a good HR and average HR. I've seen many HR who would be with one organization for the whole year, for his whole career. But what has that person done? What has that person contributed? Has he brought in any transformation in himself in the company? Is the question. So there's a big difference between operational HR and I would say a strategic HR or a somebody who can transform an organization. And what I see is that with the uh, with the with AI playing a big role in the way we work, it is going to transform many things. But qualities like compassion, empathy, it needs a beating heart, and that is why HR function will be irreplaceable. So that's my take on that. That you have to hold your ground, you have to battles, but you know you will ensure that you have been true to yourself. So being a good human being is more important than being a great HR person. That's what I would sum it.
So that's very beautifully described. Thank you for being on the podcast, sir. We appreciate your insights on human resource sector. Our discussion on innovation, personal growth, and work-life balance was truly enlightening. Your passion for adaptability and vision will inspire our listeners. It was a pleasure to learn from you, and we look forward to more such conversations. Wishing you all the best on your journey as you navigate exciting world of human resource management. May you find inspiration in every challenge and continue to grow both personally and professionally. Thank you for your
Thank
time,
you. Thank you,
sir.
Sasha. Thank you, Sampata. Thank you for the organizing team. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for episode 11. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on Spotify as well, so connect with us on social media for more exciting content. We are looking forward to seeing you in episode 12.